Hello everyone, hope you all are doing well. So in this video I'm going to show you how you can create a new RDS instance on AWS. You need AWS account for this, either free tier account or professional account, or maybe you have the account given provided by your organization. So from here, going to services. In services you can search for RDS, or I have also pinned this RDS on the top, but you can search it in the search bar. Go to the RDS is the, as it is written here, managed relational database services provided by AWS, which you can utilize to create databases on the cloud, and you can connect it with your applications, with your local DB instances, or from management studio locally as well. So I'm going to click it on RDS. It will take a while. So now we are on the RDS dashboard. Right now, if you will see here, we do not have any DB instances. I have not created any database. Right. I'm going to click on create database here. We will have different options, different databases to choose from. You can choose uh, anyone which is listed here: MySQL, MariaDB, Oracle, Postgre, or Microsoft SQL Server. I will be creating a Microsoft SQL Server, which I will also be utilizing in my serverless application in some different demo, in upcoming demos. Now, one thing which we can do from here is, if you go down, there is an option of only enable options eligible for RDS free tier, because I'm utilizing my free tier account, so I'm making sure that I do not use any paid services, right? So I'm selecting Microsoft SQL Server from here, and in the free tier account you can see that we just have SQL Server Express Edition to choose from. Okay, so if you have a paid account, then you can select from any other editions as well. So just click on next. Now we would have some configuration to do. So now the first license model, I'm not going to modify it, I'm leaving it as default. The next is the DB engine version, so it's on your hand which version you require, like SQL Server 2008 or 12 or 14, 16, 17, whichever you want. So I have locally 2008, that's why I'm choosing 2008 R2. You can go ahead and can select 2014 or 16 or whatever your requirement is. Going ahead, the DB instances, there is some default configuration provided in the free tier. We can only utilize T2 micro, and the default RAM provided is 1 GB. So I'm not selecting any time zone, I'm leaving it. Storage type, by default in the free tier account we can only have general purpose SSD. Allocated storage, in the free tier account we have minimum as well as maximum allocated storage is 20 GB, which is quite enough for just for your educational purpose, just for basic development task, right? So I'm leaving it at 20 GB. The next setting, we need to provide some identifier this to this particular SQL server, which SQL server instance, DB instance we are going to create, and this need to be unique. If you have 10 different SQL server instances or any other database instances, you need to have a unique identifier to each and everyone. So I'm going with product demo DB. Why I'm giving this product? Because I will be creating a product table in later demo, not in this demo. In this demo I will only show how we can set up RDS uh, RDS instance here, and in second part of this we will see how we can connect with this server locally and can create some table and can populate some data. The next setting which we need to do is creating a master username, like we most of you are familiar that when you are uh, working locally, even there you need some kind of credentials, either Windows or either SQL Server credentials. So we need some username. We need to create a username here. So I'm just going to default admin, providing some password, confirm password. It's very simple. It's very easy to follow along with. So just clicking on next, moving on the next part of configuration. So here now, these are some important things. Every AWS account comes with a default VPC. VPC is nothing. It just you got a virtual space, a virtual uh, server, virtual private cloud on on the on the AWS, inside which your EC2 instances or the virtual machines resides, where these DB instances will go on. So I'm leaving it at default VPC. I'm not going to create a new VPC. I'm leaving the subnet group as default as well. Now here is the option is public accessibility. Now for this demo purpose, I'm selecting yes, but but most probably in your organization, when you will be creating some applications and for your own security purpose, most probably it will be no, because you do not want to give the public access to your RDS instances, right? I'm not going to give any availability zone. Now if you're thinking about availability zone, it's nothing. It actually helps you in creating replicas and creating snapshots. It's like a security purpose. Like you have one database in one region, and in the same region, you want to have different availability zones, so that if one goes down, another would be there to help you out, so that there is always there is no such situation where your entire servers goes down and users are not able to uh, get the data or whatever your application is consuming it, right? So this demo is not for that purpose. I'm not going much deeper into describing this, but main purpose of availability zone is for making your database always available by having the same database replicated over different availability zone. But I'm not giving any preferences here. The another thing which comes here is the security groups. Now what actually a security group is, we will look into it after we will successfully create our RDS instance. Then I will show you what actually the security groups do. Right now I'm just clicking on create new VPC security group, or if you already have some security groups, you can select the one by selecting choose existing. But right now I'm just clicking on create new VPC security group. Now all these things I'm leaving in its default. If you goes in further down database option, the default port for this is 1433. It remains same. There is no parameter group or option group. Encryption actually in free tier it's not available, but it basically it encrypts all the data in your database. As far as I know, I'm not that much confirmed, but basically it's for that only. Now backup retention period, I'm making it a 0 because I'm just creating this database for demo purpose. I do not want any backup for this. I have enabled in default, we have enabled the enhanced monitoring, and also I'm disabling auto minor version upgrade. So leaving all this, deletion protection is something which I'm unselecting it, because what I want to do is that when I will create this RDS instance and when I will show you it's available, it can be utilized, I will immediately go and delete this RDS, or at least I will stop this RDS instance, because I'm using the free tier, and there is a definite amount of R which I can utilize this RDS instance. So just to save myself from getting billed, I'm just unselecting it so that I can delete this instance. If I enable this, then I would not be able to delete until and unless if I have to again modify. So I'm just unselecting this and clicking on create database. In real scenario, you will have this checkbox enabled. So now our DV instance has been created. So just go and click on view DV instance details. It's creating DV instance right now. There is some lag time. It requires some time to uh, configure your DV instances. It would take some time, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, based on what reason you have chosen where you are getting this DV instances. So I'm pausing this video here and I will show you once it would be available. We can go to dashboard and we can see the status of our instance here. Now here if you will see DB instances 1 by 40, that means we have one DB instance created, but right now the status is creating, not available. So let's wait for some time and I will come back once it would be. So now we can see that our DB instance is available. The status here shows that this DB instance is available. We have successfully created mssql server on AWS cloud. Just click on the DB instance name and see the various configuration details which we had provided earlier. So you can see it that we are using SQL Server Express Edition DB instance. The status is available. Now if it shows you each and everything, how much is the CPU utilization, how many active DB connections are there, and if I just go down, because we need the endpoint to configure it locally, to access the server locally. So if you see here, there is in connect, there is endpoint mentioned. This endpoint we can use to connect with this server, but before going there, just let me clarify about the security groups. If you remember, I had earlier told that I would show you what the security groups do and why we need this. So if you will see here, we had selected create new security groups. So here we can see there are two security groups, but actually these are they, this is just a one security group. There are two different types. One is inbound and one is outbound. It's very similar to what comes in, that is inbound, and what goes out, that is outbound. Now here you can see the rules. So these are nothing but just the IP addresses. For this, if you're thinking from where it came and how it's being done, so just click on one of the security group here. So it's just click on security groups. It will take us to the VPC dashboard where the security groups are being mentioned, which you can create by default as well. So here you can see the group ID, which it's been created, group name, VPC ID, which VPC it is using, and in the description, if you will see here, it's been written that created from the RDS management console. We have not created this security groups. It's being automatically created because we had selected create new VPC group. Now here, if you will see here, in description, another than description, if you will see, there is a tab inbound. So if you will go to inbound and see, have a look over what it is actually. Just let me quickly do this a little bit up. So here what it has done, that it has configured uh, ports and the sources, the IP protocols and all. So it has created a row for MS SQL. That means for which we have configured it. We have different others as well. We will look into that. The protocol is TCP, the port, and the source. Now just let me quickly edit this, so that we can see what it is. So if you go to edit inbound rules by clicking on the edit button and in type, if just expand this, There are many things: http, https, and you have ssh, smtp, various different services for any suppose you're deploying any web application on this aws, so you will be using https and ssh different types. So here we it has used mssql, which is perfect. The protocol it will use is tcp. we the main important thing which we need to look on this source. Now in source there is three things: custom, anywhere, and my ip. Now what actually custom will do, that we can type anything which we want, any specific ip address if you want to provide, if your server sits somewhere and you want to give the access to the server specifically from some specific system, then you can provide the custom ip. You can, if you select anywhere, that means uh, from it doesn't depends on one IP address or one particular IP address. From anywhere you can access this instance, and uh, this is definitely not a good practice because it's not that secured, right? In real world, we do not do this anywhere. And the third one is my IP. Now, what it will do, it will automatically fetch the IP address of my system, and and that means that I can access this SQL Server instance on AWS just from my own system. Now, the problem with this is, of course, if you are running this demo on a remote desktop, that means your IP is not being configured by yourself. So that might be the problem. So it's better that for demo purpose you choose anywhere. In my case, because I'm running my own private network, so I'm selecting my IP. Just for demo purpose, you can select anywhere, and you can update the security group any time. So I'm selecting my IP and clicking on save. Now similarly, we can check the outbound. If you go in outbound, you can see this one. This actually means that for anything which goes out is allowed for all. See, so similarly, we can click on edit. It says all traffic. Here again, it's custom. So we can provide my IP. That means I'm restricting the outgoing to my IP only, but I'm not going to do anything here. So basically, security groups governs from it has inbound rules and it has outbound rules for the security purpose, for connection purpose. So let's go back to our RDS instance. So now I'm going to show you how we can connect to this server locally and what all things we need to connect with this locally. So I'm just going to open my SQL Server Management Studio, which is 2008 R2. So just it would take some time. In meanwhile, just have a look over other configuration, what all details are here. These are those details only which we had configured. Now if you will see, we had selected the default VPC. It has automatically detected the default VPC, default subnet groups, and the default security groups. We have edited the security groups right now for inbound only. So on the from the top, if you will see, this is the ARN and the SQL Server, and if you will see the username, it's showing you the username which I have provided admin, and how much storage, it's 20 GB general purpose SSD which we had provided. All these information are those which we had configured. If you will see automated backups, we had disabled that. We do not have any backup window. The default was 7 days, but I had selected that to 0 days, whether it is publicly accessible or not. So I have just selected yes, it is publicly accessible. So these are just those things which we have selected, and we had not created any snapshots. We have not provided any tags. You can add any tags to your RDS instance, so that you can because there is possibility that you are managing 20, 30, or 50 RDS instances, so tags are a great help for that. Or also you have different uh, DB instances. For you have development and development environment DB, then you have staging, UAT, testing environment. So the providing tags might be very useful for those considerations. So now SQL server is being running. So just quickly, let's try to connect to the server locally. So what we need this endpoint. We need this endpoint. This is the location of this server on the cloud, and as it is publicly accessible, just let me quickly copy this. So quickly copy this endpoint, provide this endpoint here, and yeah, we can't connect it with the Windows authentication, right? We have to select SQL Server authentication login. You need to provide your username, and if you will see that we had provided this the username of admin, or if you can verify it from here as well. So we had provided it the username of admin. So let me quickly give it the username admin and provide the password, the master password which you had configured. So just let me type my password and try to connect by clicking on this connect button. If the connection would not be successful, then this would definitely show me the error. Now there might be the login failed. Now I might be using the wrong password. This happens with me. Actually, I forgot the password quite a few times, but yeah, I was typing the wrong password. Now we have successfully connected the server, SQL server, which we had created on the cloud, to our local system. Now it's very similar to what you do with your local DB instances. You can, if you will see here, a little bit detail, just let me show you some details. There is AWS default create one database. What is it is RDS admin. What actually it contains some configurational table which I do not have much idea about it, but AWS require these tables to manage all sort of functionalities on your database, maybe for tracking purpose, maybe for some other purposes. So just let me quickly go to this database, and we can see if we can create new database or not. So just let me quickly go here and see whether we are able to create new database or not. So yeah, because we are connecting to the cloud server, and it's very much dependent on your network speed. So I'm just going to give it products db. So products D, and there is nothing much which I have to specify here. Just it's similar as you create the database locally. But what will happen that right now you are creating products DB, which will be in sync with your uh, cloud DB. So this all these database are on AWS cloud. So as similar here, you can go and you can create tables. You can do whatever you want. So it was a very simple demo, nothing much complicated which you cannot follow. I hope I was able to impart some basic ideas about how you can create uh, the RDS and how you can connect it with your local instance. Go ahead and play around with it, create some instances, but at last, if you're running your free tier account, then do not forget to delete this. Now I'm done with this, so I'm just going again on my dashboard, clicking on the instances, or you can just directly go to instances, and from here now you can do two things. Either you can just go and stop it. What it will do that stopping what it will do that it will stop this instance so that you can restart it again in the future without deleting this, because if you will delete, then you have to create the database again, and you might lose your information which you have stored here. So instead of deleting, you can stop, but because I do not have anything to do with this TV right now, so it's better to delete this so that I do not consume extra and I will not have to pay anything to AWS, right? So this is a very good step, and yeah, there is some verifications which AWS needs from you for the confirmation, because of course you might have sensitive data and these things. So now if you will see the status changed, it's deleting. So it's better to delete your instance you once you are done with the demo part. So go on, play around with it, be comfortable with what changes you are doing, create some tables, populate some data. In next demo, what I will show you how you can connect the same database with your .NET application. I will create a sample console demo applications where I will not doing anything much fancier, but what I will do that I will show you how you can connect uh, your cloud database instance from your .NET application Visual Studio using Visual Studio 2017. Thanks for watching.